What's up, Eater fans? This is Kobe Bryant from the Los Angeles Lakers, and I just want to introduce to you, live and direct right now, your men and women's basketball team who are going to make history this year. Rip 'em, Eaters!
Well, in 2006, I got a paid job here, which was great. So I became the director of basketball operations, which was an advancement. And so, being in that position on a staff, you're kind of the do everything, you're around all the time. And I get a call from Paul Hope, who's our associate athletic director, and he says, hey, someone reached out from Kobe's group and says, hey, there's a chance he might want to come and take a look at your facilities and maybe look to train there. Can I pass this number along to you? Sure, I'm here anyways. Like I'm gonna be here. I'm working from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. anyways. Sure. And literally the next day I get a call from the head of security of his personal security for Kobe, and he says, this is in very serious tone. Kobe Bryant would like to come by and check out your facility. When are you available? I was like, yeah, I'm here and I'm available. Let me know when he's planning on coming. And so that's kind of how the first introduction or phone call kind of happened. I didn't know what to expect. I was just in the office in Crawford Hall, just kind of waiting around going, okay, what's going to happen here? And lo and behold, Kobe rolls up with another guy who I assumed was the guy I talked to, and there they were. And it kind of went from there. It was like, hey, can you show us around? Can you show us your facility? So I'm like, okay, well, hope you like it. And so I take him into Crawford, into Crawford Court, show him the gym. Okay, seems to check the boxes. And then I reluctantly took him to the downstairs weight room and take him downstairs, and I'm like, here it is. And they kind of look around, they're having a back and forth conversation trying to figure out if, this is what they want to do. And we exchanged numbers, and that was kind of it. And I was like, okay, I said goodbye to him, and 2 hours later, I get a call from an unknown number. I don't pick it up, and I check my voicemail, and it's Kobe. I remember it vividly. He's like, hey, Ryan, this is Kobe. Can I get in there tomorrow morning? And I'm like, okay. Okay. This is maybe a one-time thing. Maybe this is, whatever. And that was kind of the start of it, which was just crazy. So I call him back, and I'm like, yeah, Kobe, what are you looking for? He's like, well, what time can I get in there? I was like, what time do you need? The gym's available. What time you need? And that was my first introduction to the early mornings. He's like, okay, get in there at 6:37. I was like, sure, all right, let's go. And so I show up the next morning. He's there, and that was my first introduction in the gym. And I asked him the first day, I said, hey, would you mind if I kind of sit in here? And he was, yeah, of course. Yeah, do whatever you need. And I know the impression with Kobe initially was that I was kind of a facilities guy, that I was just kind of here just to kind of help them with, whatever they needed. And so I remember this is 3 or 4 days into his training, and I'm sitting on the stage in Crawford, the old stage that they used to sit fans on when they played games. I was just sitting there, and and I remember he was going through his shooting routine, which he always had to begin workouts. He looks over at me. He said, get over here and help us out. And from that day on, every time he was here, I was out there.
He's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Every resource imaginable. He could have trained wherever he wanted. Why couldn't he just have done it at home?
He wasn't a high maintenance guy for everything that he became and was. He didn't need nice and shiny. He needed 10-foot hoops, and he needed people around him that helped him get where he needed to go. There were certain things he did at home. He had a gym at his house that we train at regularly. But I do think that coming over here was a little bit of his workplace, where he looked at coming here as a place where he could be serious-minded, he could have a routine, and really execute the things that he was looking to do. It ended up becoming home. It ended up becoming, his comfort area and where he decided to continue doing his thing. His focus to his plan and what he needed to do was well executed here. Year one he was here, he won his first MVP. And, and I think that was his, that was kind of a calling for him. this is working out pretty good. And what was really special about being here is after the initial, oh my goodness, Kobe's around, he's training here and all that kind of stuff, he became one of our student athletes. And as crazy as that is to hear, our volleyball team, our basketball team, our baseball team, our track team, our coaches, he was just one of the guys, and that was really special for him because, he would know athletes by name, he would know coaches by name, he knew our training staff by name. He had a routine. There was a comfort to that here where he could, again, he could fulfill the things that he wanted and be normal. And that was, I think, a big part of why he was just in Orange County, was being away from LA enough where he can kind of have the day-to-day routine that he had. And I certainly know that he felt that here at UC Irvine.
It just seems kind of surreal to think about a UC Irvine student athlete, like mid-major college basketball, and they're spending time every day with arguably the best player in the world.
It was really special for them to just experience that and be around that and to learn of his work ethic, because again, it's almost seems like folktale, like the amount of stories that you hear. You're like, okay, yeah, maybe you can do that for, like, anyone can wake up for a week at 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning and train. Anyone can do that. But to do that consistently and to do that when you've already accomplished as much as he had leading up into when he started here, because he had 3 championships under his belt by then. He approached every offseason like he was fighting for his life. And that's a special thing, especially at the level that he was at. And our athletes got to be around that, which was, really neat for them to see, because again, college athletes that want to accomplish, kind of the next step, becoming a professional athlete or whatever it is, they're able to see a guy who's really at the peak and want more. And I think that taught everybody around here, especially during that time, that there's always more you can do. And so that was pretty special.
It's almost like, for as much as the UC Irvine students got out of that experience, it almost kind of sounds like Kobe got just as much out of it. Is that right?
I think being able to come here and feel connected, not having a college experience, I think was unique. He'd be in the track, he'd be in the pool, he'd be in Crawford Court, he'd be in the Bren, obviously he'd be in the weight room. We went across campus to the Arc to train, so he got a real immersive feel for everything that was going on here, and he was always inquisitive about the different teams. He asked about how the teams were doing. He asked about our team all the time. He was really confused initially why the Arc had such a better training facility than we had over here. He's like, isn't this Division I athletics? And so when, towards the end of his career, when we built the Set Center, which is an unbelievable facility, you go, yeah, that's what it's supposed to look like. And so he felt like pride, like that we had grown, and that was awesome to see, because he felt some level of ownership in that. And as we've gotten more and more national attention, he was knew what was going on. And so when we made the tournament in 15, he was very well aware and excited for us. Last year when we made it and were able to make history, he was equally, if not more, excited for us. And that was cool. That was cool that it wasn't surprising to me, but it was also great that he was in tune with our team and cared about what we were doing and cared about our progress.
You kept this a secret. Most people didn't know. Maybe only the people really close to you knew you guys even had a relationship. Why was it so important for you to kind of keep that quiet and just be all business?
For me, it was nothing more than helping an athlete accomplish their goal. It wasn't, the way I looked at it, outside of the initial, like, oh my God, it's Kobe, it was, what are we here to accomplish? And for him, it was, I want to train, I want to develop, I want to get better at certain things every off season and obtain an objective. The work I did with the players here was no different. And it's just the way I looked at it. And he was just a player. He was a player who needed training, a player who, was looking to accomplish a goal, no different than any other guy. And you take responsibility of helping him do that. It got to a point where, watching him play, and whether it was going to games or or being at home watching him, I get nervous. It wasn't like you weren't a fan. You just get kind of nervous, like it was your player, And so he took responsibility of that. He took responsibility for his performance. Now, whether or not I should have or whatever, clearly he was responsible for his performance, good or bad, but you took some sort of ownership of, how he performed, how he was, his, the health of his body, things like that. And he had a team of people that were all a part of that. It wasn't obviously just me by any means, but you take that responsibility. I remember going specifically to a preseason game down in San Diego, and watching the game, and he plays limited minutes, and he goes down. And this is, coming off training sessions and stuff like that. And you're always, worried about your athletes, being in peak physical condition to perform. And he goes down, and he goes back in the locker room. And I'm like, my stomach drops, and I text him. I say, Kobe, all right, what happened? And, a minute goes by, and I get a text, and he goes, I tore my ACL. I'm like, I just staring at my phone going, okay, what did we do wrong? Oh my God. And then 30 seconds later, just kidding, I'm all right. And, but it's like, come on, man. But things like that, you feel, you feel responsible for, you feel like, hey, but that's just like our players. A guy goes down in the game, you're like, you feel for them, you feel for our team. You don't look at it like a fan. And so, I felt it was a great balance for me. Being exposed to the best player in the world was a great balance, especially in the off season, to coaching and developing college basketball players. That was a unique experience, and still has been a really unique experience, that I'm able to kind of have that balance of being able to do both, which again would never have happened if I didn't have this experience.
Have you thought about his impact on you and how you've been able to be the man that you are, the father you are, the coach that you are, and maybe what he might have had to do with that?
Yeah, of course. Just observing him and being around him, how he carried himself, was really impactful. As on the basketball side of stuff, I think is really obvious. His work ethic, how he approached every day, how he was real goal-oriented and specific and precise in the things that he was working on and training. He was always searching for the best version of himself, which, he constantly evolved. He never thought he was there. It was more. It was what's next. It was, all that. So that was really special. Now, on the personal side of stuff, for me, the biggest thing, with him was with how busy he is how he made time for the things that were most important to him. The commitment he had to his girls and his family and all that never wavered. In 2007, he would work out around their schedules. In 2008, 2009, 2010, all the way to 2016, it was all about his girls. Obviously, he woke up early in the morning to train, and that was kind of how he was wired. He felt like getting up early gave him an opportunity to accomplish more throughout the day. That was a big part of it. The other component of it was when the girls wake up, when they got to go to school, they're going to an activity, I want to be there. That was cool to see, I thought I was pretty busy. I was like, I don't have any free time. And I'm like, there's a lot more hours in the day that you could do stuff. And, so that was special to be around as much as anything, to see how he was able to make it all work, and be present, and be, active in their lives, which was, again, we all have choices, and he made a specific choice to make sure he was there, that they're a priority, and they're around, which again is something that I've taken